Marvel, screw DC, and screw Image. I want my comics from the same place I get my oversized pants from.
This is Podcast New York.
What's up, Dueling Decades? This is Wax. Peace to all you guys, and thanks for having me on the show. Will it be the 90s or the 80s? Beanie Babies or Crack Babies? Will it be Nirvana or Madonna? Maybe Britney, maybe Whitney. Do you like new metal or new wave? Dave Grohl or Super Dave? I don't know. But now the battle begins. Dueling Decades. Let's see who wins.
Dueling Decades.
Broadcasting from the Podcast New York studios and on Pod TV Live, it's another all-new Dueling Decades, the adult-only retro game show where the decades battle for supremacy because it's your history. We just fight for it. Welcome back. I am Marc James, and this week we wrap up August with a worst of duel. I will be competing with the worst of August 1998 alongside the other duelers and the decades they will be fighting for. First off, with a second-rate and substandard picks from the 1970s, say hello to Mancrush.
Did you already see what I have?
No.
That sounds like it. All right, so I got the worst of August 1977. Watches on Pod TV, that's 2. And you know what? They actually added podcasts to Facebook now. However, it's not for everybody yet, but maybe by the time this is released, it will be. And if you haven't listened to us from Facebook, hopefully by the time this is released, you can. So check that out. But yeah, worst of August 1977.
Also joining the show and bringing the bottom of the barrel from August of 1987, please welcome to the show, Chucky Ballzak.
Hey guys, how's it going out there? Thanks for having me. Garbage Pail Flicks podcast. And I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick some ass.
And as always here on the show, we need somebody to adjudicate all of this awesomeness. So this week's guest judge is no stranger to viewers of this show. He's the media king of the North. All rise for Judge Joe Finley.
Guys, how lucky are you all that I became a more prevalent video source once this became a YouTube thing. I came on a lot more. You're very lucky to be seeing this more and
Very
more.
stunning video, too.
Oh, God, you have no idea. I've been doing nothing but messing with cameras and lighting for the last few days. I'm very sweaty right now. I hope that doesn't pick up.
You don't look shiny at all.
No, you're not
thank
glistening. No.
I have a layer of pancake. Well, let's do some judging. I know what Chucky's in for. I had a first time on this show too, so let's get to work, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest will be held under Dueling Decades rules. The judges' coin flip shall decide who picks first out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories: movies, television, music, news, and hot products. A judge's ruling will determine who wins each round, allowing the victor to choose the next available category. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point each, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. And in the event of a tie, after all 5 rounds, we'll go to a final wild card round. Remember, duelers, to review the show, like, subscribe, and play along at home. It's time for more Dueling Decades. All right, let's go right down to our judge, the media king of the North, Mr. Joe Finley, for the coin toss, which will be between Mancrush and newcomer Chucky.
Oh, Chucky. All right, we're gonna do it, buddy. We're gonna break you in, and I'm gonna do that with a digital dollar.
Awesome.
Okay. So the head
Is that from
heads.
Harvey Dent? Is that directly from?
No, this one's got 2 sides. This has got
okay.
John Quincy Adams on one side. Everybody's
Nice.
favorite John Adams. Okay.
All right.
So call in the air.
Tails.
Oh, it's John Quincy Adams' beautiful
Oh,
face on there.
boy.
It's a head.
All right, Mancrush, you know what that means. You win the coin toss, and you get to select our first category.
All right, let's go with everybody's favorite. Let's go with hot products.
All right.
All right, so let's go to August 3rd, 1977. This one right here is pretty iconic. and basically a watershed moment for personal computers. That being said, the computer was a notorious piece of shit. The Tandy Corporation, they put out the TRS-80 for sale starting in August of 1977, and they marketed what most people would call the Trash 80. So if you ever heard somebody say, oh, I had a Trash 80, they're talking about the TRS-80. But they marketed this as the first mass-produced personal computer. And I've heard people say this before, and it's pretty damn true, especially in this case. Just because you're the first does not mean you're the best. Obviously, compared to like today's standards, this desktop is miserably underpowered. If you had a calculator, it probably is on par with this bad boy. But for the mere price of $600, which is $2,700 in 2021, you can get your hands on a 12-inch monochrome monitor, a built-in cassette data recorder, and 4 kilobytes of RAM.
Whoa.
4 kilobytes of RAM. On the flip side, at least it came packaged with 2 games. You had Blackjack and a game that I have no fucking clue how to play, Backgammon. So you got that right there. And, but here's the thing. So in the first month of this, Tandy, they took 10,000 orders. But unfortunately, they were only expecting to sell around 1,000 for the entire year of 1977, 1978. So if you ordered one of these, you were waiting months to receive one of these. You were not going to get your order like tomorrow. If you went to the store, they had to order this thing. And the thing was this, like Tandy, they were basically like a leather company or some shit for like 50 years. And they only got into electronics 2 years prior to 1977 when they hit pay dirt with CB radios. But then by 1977, creepy dudes stopped buying Vans and the CB craze just fell off a cliff and they recommitted themselves to the Trash 80. And listen, some people, they may have dug their TRS-80. I know I loved my Commodore 128 at the time. However, it just wasn't a good computer. Much like the Atom of the 80s we've talked about before, the Packard Bell of the 90s, they were just synonymous with sucking. So I give you the TRS-80, August 3rd, 1977.
Alrighty. All right, Chucky, let's toss it over to you. What do you have for the hot products round?
Well, hot products, August of 1987 was pretty booming when it came to the video gaming at home consoles. Of course, most of us had the NES or an Atari in 1987, and there's a lot of good games released in 1987, but we're doing the bad. So I had to dig a little bit. In 87, we had like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came out for NES. We had Rambo. I think Legend of Zelda even came out, the first one in 87. But NES was on top of their game then. What I'm bringing to the table is the other 8-bit console that was renamed and redesigned in 1987 for overseas and UK and Brazil release. It was redesigned casing from the original Mark III, it was called, console, which had been released in the Japanese market in 1985. The game console then released in North America market in June of 1986 to directly compete with Nintendo Entertainment System, which had been released in the same market later and became direct competition, like I said. The original console models used both cartridges and a credit card sized card format known as a card load. Accessories for the console included a light gun similar to the Nintendo, 3D glasses that worked with a range of specialty design games. NES did not have that at all. Later, the model was redesigned and they removed the card slot, turning it into a strictly cartridge-only system that was incompatible with the 3D glasses. Although the library was smaller for this console, with fewer well-reviewed games than the NES, due to part that the Nintendo licensing policies required platform exclusivity. Though the system had never improved hardware, it failed to overturn Nintendo's significant market share advantage in Japan and North America. However, it did attain significantly more success in Europe and Brazil in 1987 with launch titles such as Action Fighter, which was the action game, Black Belt, karate game, Choplifter, helicopter sim game. Ghost House, spooky game. Pro wrestling game. Hang On, motorcycle game. Gangster Town, a shooting game that was with the light gun like the Nintendo had. And Rocky, based on the film, a boxing game.
Oh, damn.
Of course, I'm talking about the Sega Master System that was released in the UK and Europe, Brazil, released in August of 1987. A system that I still, to this day, wouldn't mind having, and never knew anybody growing up had one. Everybody had Nintendos and had a Master System.
Mike Ranger had one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. People like him had them.
Yeah. I think he still has one.
That's why he's awesome. That's why I love Mike Rangers, because, he's the only person I know that would probably have a Master System.
Oh, we actually have to mention that. Mike Ranger, if you missed the episode, who was the judge on that episode?
That would be me.
That was Joe. And Mike Ranger had 1978, I believe, in that episode. And he came with a pick from 1973. He had to pull out a full redaction, apology. He was embarrassed. And now he's been suspended from the show indefinitely.
I was going to ask, why isn't he here? So now I know that. All right.
So
question answered.
we'll see what happens to Mike Ranger if Mike Ranger comes back.
Okay.
Mike,
He's dead to me.
I think this was pushed down from Joe Finley, the media king of the North, said no, suspended indefinitely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Man.
All right, guys. So we'll jump over to My Hot Products. For My Hot Product this week, we are once again going to give the old comics rack a spin. But this time, screw Marvel, screw DC, and screw Image. I want my comics from the same place I get my oversized pants from. Well, not my oversized pants. All my pants are oversized. But most people's oversized pants. So let's go straight to the ad for this one. Jenko Industries is proud to present to you a true tale of epic proportions. Get ready for some high-speed action and excitement as we follow the accounts of Flamehead, the adventurer who takes life to the limit. He always meets the challenges of being a kid head-on and is always decked out in the latest Jenko gear. Because there's no glory in being a hero if you don't dress the part, the ad says. Another ad for this one says, the coolest kid in town is now the coolest comic in the world. Join the fun as Flamehead, alongside his pet termite Woody, deals with the local bully Norman. Norman and his ever-faithful dog Monty are on a constant quest to dethrone Flamehead as the king of cool. And speaking of cool, you'll also get to meet some of Flamehead's friends, including Betty, Flamehead's #1 girl, Nags, the only girl with the skills and speed to keep up with Flamehead, and Wolfgang, Flamehead's very own nutty professor. So get ready for some high-speed action and excitement as we jump on board and follow the continuing saga of Flamehead. 32 awesome pages in full digital color. And you would actually think that because it's Jenko, you would actually get an oversized first issue. But no, instead they decided to put out a mini promo comic as issue number 0 the month before, and then they cheaped out on issue number 1. So, and then they closed the comic ad with the horrible tagline, Evolution pocket sized to fit in your Jinkos. I give you Flamehead #1, August 1998.
How many raves did he go to while he was taking Special K?
Did he have a chain? He better had a chain wallet on that on those Jenkos.
I think that was probably his weapon. Is he?
I was going to say the chain wallet is standard. You have to have those with the Jenkos.
You have to.
I did not know that existed.
I used to draw comic books back in the day, like little indie comics. I had a guy with Jenkos on. He had the chain wallet. So it always, when you said that, it directly reminded me of that character I drew.
All right, let's toss it down to our judge, Joe Finley, for the verdict on the Hot Products round.
Jenkos.
What a start, guys. Well done. So right off the bat with a Mancrush, the TRS 80. Yeah, I've heard the Trash 80. I get really irked by the laziness of people, especially people in tech, when they make fun of things like that. It's like I have so many in TV you'll have these people who'll go up and he's like, oh, more like blah 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 blah, like whatever pun about the piece of equipment. And I'm just like, oh, kill me. So I get that, and I obviously get people's frustration with technology. But I mean, at the beginning, people should be happy to get anything. There was barely computers out.
Yeah,
so.
where were they gonna play backgammon? Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And like blackjack, like they had the ability to count
Solitaire.
up to 21 with 4 kilobytes of power.
Well, you could have bought an apple.
Yeah, you could have.
Apple IIe.
Forget about it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like good. Well, I mean, like it's a good pick, but it's like one of those kind of to the dustbin of history kind of things, I guess. Chucky, you bring the Sega Master System. You now know more than one person who has owned a Sega Master System. That was my first system. Half of the games you named, I owned. I had Gangster Town. I had Hang On. I had what else did I have? I had Wonder Boy. I had Zaxxon 3D.
Rocky?
Hence
You
the
have
glass.
Rocky?
I didn't have Rocky. I had a bunch of weird ones. You know that thing like in The Simpsons where it's like, I know what game every little boy's been asking for, and then she ends up getting like Lee Carvello's putting challenge. I
Yeah.
got a lot of those games. It was like, oh, I know what the game that everybody wants. But I had Altered Beast, baby.
Yeah. There
Altered
you go.
Beast. So forget
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Great system. Definitely like underrated just because of what
For
it
an
was going up
8-bit, yeah.
against.
For an 8-bit
Yeah.
system, totally.
It
Yeah.
was
Oh,
marketed
so much
to
fun.
shit. I mean, that's
Yeah.
and the same thing with I think they both fall in the same category. The Trash 80 was
Yeah.
once it was named the Trash 80. Who's gonna buy something called Trash 80 when everybody's calling it that?
I agree.
You know.
I agree.
So I agree with what you said.
Yeah. And then Mark, Flamehead has lost all meaning. You said Flamehead so many times that it's like the word has lost all meaning. But I commend you for just the utter commitment to delivering that and then we have Negs, the only one able to keep up with Flamehead. And you're saying Flamehead like it's like he's got stakes to him for everybody, right? It's like saying like Lobo's the only one who could take on Superman. I'm like, I know who Superman is. That's a lot. But you're like Flamehead. I'm like, who this guy?
Was
You-
anybody
Nags
else
can
picturing
keep
like a bootleg Ghost Rider when he said
Yeah,
that?
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
exactly what you'd think. It's a little punk kid in Jenkos.
Oh,
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
I vaguely remember the character icon. Yeah.
Uh,
I remember the
I
crown.
tell you-
The crown was the big one. Jenko.
Yeah.
he came accessorized with an anal bead necklace.
I certainly hope so. My heart, or my mind tells me I'd go with Flamehead because that is insane. But my heart goes with the Sega Master System. It was such a fun system. I got made fun of so much for that being the system I had when everybody else had the Nintendo. I eventually got a Nintendo, and I had them both at the same time, and I played them both equally. We're gonna give Chucky his first point right here, baby.
Woo! Thank you. I
Yeah.
almost felt like I was cheating on that one because I do like the Master System, but not compared to Nintendo back then. I'm sure it was frowned upon. It wasn't as cool as the Nintendo.
Well, it's like me when I had the TurboGrafx 16.
Oh God, love the TurboGrafx. You just
and
said-
nobody had it.
Yeah,
Nobody
I
had
knew
the
a
TurboGrafx.
guy down the block from me had it, and he used to let me borrow it sometimes. We would barter, and I would have a TurboGrafx on the weekend sometimes. Kind of a weird thing, but I love it. I have the Mini now. I own the Mini.
The
Great.
games were good. It was just
Yeah.
like you could never find them.
Right, yeah. They're really
Yeah.
expensive now. If you're trying
We're
to
talking about like 1989.
Mm,
Wasn't like you could buy it online. So like
Yeah.
you had to go to like Child World and
yeah.
they had the same shit every time you went there. So I'm sure it was the same thing with the
But you
the
couldn't
Master-
find Splatterhouse on any other console back then, so.
Yeah, that's true.